All right, Shalom. First off, give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, the women, the children, and the confusion of faith who follow. So, to be honest, I can't even remember why this topic came into my mind the other day. But I was doing some meditating on it, and I really wanted to, bring some edification out. We have a troubled history in this country, America, especially with dealing with the treatment of the Latinos, the treatment of the natives, and of course the treatment of the so-called black man. And I just want to shed a light on one specific account that happened here in Omaha, Nebraska, back in 1919, and you know this is just a microcosm of a bigger happening that was going on in various places around the country, especially in the deep south. But Lord's word is going to be edifying, and we're going to just jump right into this.
Okay. This is Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 15. It says, "And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction."
Right. So we went off from serving our power. Right. We all know that. We started worshiping other gods and goddesses, and the Lord put us away, and that's why we're in this condition that we're in today of being slaves back then, and even being slaves now, without chains. But it says they held forth the affliction. They overdid it. They went past the threshold, if you will. We were already brought over here in cargo slave ships. You know, Millions upon millions of us didn't even make it. Thrown overboard for uh, shark bait. Or they couldn't feed us, or we tried to escape. It was better to die than become a slave. Then we get here, and we get the shit kicked out of us for a couple hundred years, and then they finally quote release us, and it's still more the same. So that's really what this article is about: us finally being released, and it's just a lot more of the same. You got anything to say, brother?
Going into that, because once slavery was quote unquote abolished, that's when you went into the Reconstruction era. And in the Reconstruction era was a compilation of them, making different laws and whatnot. And we're about to get into it.
Go ahead.
So this is Reconstruction. This is from Britannica.com. It says Reconstruction in U.S. history, the period from 1865 to 1877, that followed the American Civil War, and during which attempts were made to redress the inequities of slavery and its political, social, and economic legacy, and to solve the problems arising from the readmission to the Union of the 11 states that had seceded at or before the outbreak of war.
Right, and I just want to get this, said and understood. The North did not go to war with the South because they had slaves. Okay, they went to war because the South was the money making machine of America because of the cotton it was producing, because of the slavery. So the mission was not to free us. The mission was to get the money. Okay, Lincoln freed the slaves. No, Lincoln got that bag. That's what it was.
Lincoln had slaves.
Exactly. He and I don't want to go off on a tangent. We're gonna try to stay on subject, but I just definitely wanted to put that tidbit in there. Go ahead, brother.
It says, long portrayed by many historians as a time when vindictive radical Republicans fastened black supremacy upon the defeated Confederacy.
Hold on. What did that say?
It says fastened black supremacy.
No. Right there.
Long portrayed by many historians as a time when vindictive radical Republicans fastened black supremacy.
Right. Radical Republicans, okay, were basically supporting black supremacy. And today, what are Jake? Jake is all about being
Democrats.
Being
yep.
Democrats,
and
right?
Democrats was the ones back then that was really on another level. The Republicans was on the level, but
Come on.
the Democrats
Well, Jake don't know this, you know, but that's why the Most High put it on our spirit, to bring these lessons out. It's all call law Yahweh Shem Shai. It's not of us. It's definitely of Him. And we do this for the edification of the body. But go ahead.
Khan. It says Reconstruction has since the late 20th century been viewed more sympathetically as a laudable experiment in interracial democracy. Reconstruction witnessed far reaching changes in America's political life. At the national level, new laws and constitutional amendments permanently altered the federal system and the definition of American citizenship.
Yeah, go ahead and speak on that.
So once the Reconstruction came about, that's when you got the 13th, 14th, and 15th amendment. Those amendments basically making it so that Jake were recognized as American citizens and Jake were recognized as being able to vote. So, hooray, right? But no, once those amendments got passed, right after that, what E did was just pass laws to counteract that. Once the amendment got passed that Jake could vote, what E did was pass a law that you could only vote if your grandfather had voted. But all of Jake grandparents was slaves.
Okay.
They put us in a jam to where it was unfair to
In
where
the quagmire.
they put us in a quagmire to where
Giggity,
okay,
giggity.
you have rights, but this is the asterisk on it. You have rights, but you know what I'm saying? It's buts on everything,
Exactly.
because not only did you have the grandfather clause, you had to be able to read or write. You had to own a certain amount of property, and none of that was given to us. So this was obviously to basically make null and void these amendments that they were passing. You know.
Yeah, it's just another way to keep us down, so to speak.
Okay.
Matter of fact, let's get this Deuteronomy started at 15, go through verse 19.
So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out."
Right, so we come out of slavery. We're in slavery and out of slavery, and it's pretty much no different for the majority of people. And we're going to get into the migration here in a moment. But when Jake was in the South, man, we're cursed up and down. You know, we're born into slavery, we're born in poor. We can't seem to break out of it. We can't get a leg up.
Yep. Yeah, because once slavery was abolished, what happened right after that was that especially people in especially Jake in the South. But once slavery was abolished, the jobs that were offered to us was to be sharecroppers and tenant farmers for little to no pay. We were basically just working for a roof over our heads. They was giving us the bare minimum, and using the excuse, well, we're paying them, but you were basically paying us nothing, and we were getting the same treatment that we were getting when we were in slavery. Long story short,
you working probably for that same quote master.
Mm-hmm.
You're making a wage, but you don't have anywhere to go. So guess what? You got to rent your quarters that you used to live in from your master, and now he's charging you room and board, but your room and board is exceeding the amount of money that you're making in that day. So now you're in debt. You're not just working for free. Now you're in debt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that mentality is even to this day because Jake stay in debt. We don't know nothing about credit. We don't know how to obtain a 800 credit score or how to go get a loan from the bank and let that money work for you opposed to you working for money.
And they ain't gonna teach it to us either. They want us to stay in the dark like that.
The difference is, the poor people work for money. Rich people make money work for them. and that divide will always be there. Get this Haggai as well.
Con, this is Haggai chapter 1 and verse 6. It says, Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm.
And this is us. The same thing that the brother was just talking about. All right, you working for the slave master that you used to, and he's just giving you scraps, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't afford. It's not like you're making so much money that you can afford to just go to the store and buy some extra provisions.
Con, yep.
You better get it off the tree down the street or something like that. That's really the only difference. If I want to go down the street, I can go down the street,
Con,
but I'm still under this man.
con. It says, And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes.
And that's to this day. You get your check, they already took 30% off that joint, and child support took theirs, and you got to pay your rent, you got to pay your lights, you got to pay your gas, you got to pay your phone, you got to pay your internet,
And then how much you got left after that?
you got to pay your insurance, you get
Yep.
car note,
Mm-hmm.
you got to buy food.
Don't got nothing for yourself at that point.
Don't want to buy a pair of shoes or a T-shirt. Go out to a movie. Come on, this is not life. This is not. That's why we need the kingdom. This is not living.
Con,
We're gonna get this Isaiah, then we're gonna get back to it.
con. And this is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. It says, Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed.
Go ahead,
And that goes right into what we mentioned earlier with the amendments. They pass good laws, but then just make something on top of it that makes it null and void. And he continuously does that. He because he's in rulership at the end of the day, and as long as he's in rulership, we're gonna continue to get put down. We're gonna continue to get the short end of the stick. Because hey, I don't want to jump the gun too much, but hey, that's the relationship that the nations have between and Israel. That's just how it is, but between us, Esau hates us
Okay.
at the end of the day. So he's gonna do everything in his power, whether we're in slavery or quote unquote free. He's gonna do everything in his power to have us as trapped as possible. And shoot, if you're ruling, you make the laws. Your
Yeah.
laws is you're forced to have to live like that.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Uh, we're gonna skip over that because for the sake of time, um, we did Reconstruction. So we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of the article, which is going into, like I said, this race riot that happened here in Omaha back in 1919. Let me see, was yeah, okay, you go ahead and do the summary.
Kind. So this is Wikipedia on the Omaha race riot, 1919. It says the Omaha race riot occurred in Omaha, Nebraska, September 28th through 29th, 1919. It says the race riot resulted in the lynching of Will Brown, a black civilian, the death of two white rioters, the injuries of many Omaha Police Department officers and civilians, including the attempted hanging of Mayor Edward Parsons Smith, and a public rampage by thousands of white rioters who set fire to the Douglas County Courthouse in downtown Omaha.
Right, thousands of white rioters.
Mm-hmm.
Jake do one thing and we get looked at and demonized as the worst pieces come on the planet. But
Mm-hmm.
we about to read this and you see how these white folk act up.
Kind of, and at the end of this summary, it says it followed more than 20 race riots that occurred in major industrial cities of the United States during the Red Summer of 1919. And Red Summer was just a bunch of places around the U.S. that had different events like this that
Yeah.
we're about to go into, which goes back to what the brother said at the beginning of this lesson. This is just a small portion of all the different things, all the injustices that's happened to Jake by the hands of E. This is one small part of it.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can blow this up a little bit. so that you can see what they did to this man. Look at him smiling. Look at him smiling. He's obviously, you know, either tied up or chained down to this wood barrier right here, and he's on fire. His body's on fire. His legs cut off,
Mhm.
and look at him. They're smiling. He's like he throwing up the peace sign. He got the jail pose damn near, and his men, his women, his children.
And it's for their amusement.
Look
And
look at this devil smile. And these people, their descendants still live here in Omaha.
mhm.
So you can't tell me that it's no racial divide. Why do all the blacks live in North Omaha? Why do all the Mexicans live in South Omaha? Why do all the rich folk live out west? It's a reason. So if I seem a little bit, over the top or angry, this is why. This happened in the city that I'm from.
And we supposed to be angry. We supposed to be angry. Hey, if you watching this and you Jake, you supposed to be angry off of things like this and hundreds on top of hundreds, thousands of years of more. You're supposed to be angry.
So we gonna read the account. Um, we're gonna start from the beginning.
So it says at about 2 p.m. on Sunday, September 28, 1919, a large group of white youths gathered near the Bancroft School in South Omaha and began a march to the Douglas County Courthouse where Brown was being held.
Now I want to give y'all a visual. Okay, so I have a map here. This is where Bancroft Elementary is. Okay, it's on like what's that eighth and Bancroft or so. Yeah, about eighth between seventh and eighth of and Bancroft. Okay, so they march from here all the way. It's like it. Let me zoom it out. So the courthouse is about right here. It's about 3 miles.
Con,
It's about 3 miles. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Let's dodge. Yeah, I gotta go up a little bit. It's Farnham. Oh, that's Farnham. Position me something too far. Block 16 should be right here on this next
Oh,
block.
there go to the right. Douglas County District Court. Down a
Oh
little.
shit!
Yep,
Oh,
right there.
it's like here. So here we go. So here is the courthouse right here. So they march from here all the way to about right here. It's about 3 miles. And we're going to see all the steam that this mob picked up coming from here to about here. Did it say about 200 people? Or am I tripping?
Are you talking about at first?
Oh, it says it's a
Yeah, a
large
large group.
group.
A
It
large
doesn't
group.
say the
Con,
exact number,
con,
but
yeah,
it just says a large group.
con.
All right, go ahead, brother.
So, yeah, just finishing the beginning, or you want to go to the riot?
Uh, no, go to March.
It says the march was intercepted by John T. Dunn, chief of the Omaha Detective Bureau, and his subordinates. Dunn attempted to disperse the crowd, but they ignored his warning and marched on. 30 police officers were guarding the courthouse when the marchers arrived. By 4 p.m., the crowd had grown much larger. Members of the crowd bantered with the officers until the police were convinced that the crowd posed no serious threat. A report to that effect was made to the central police station, and the captain in charge sent 50 reserve officers home for the day.
So, well, it's good white folk. They're not going to do anything. Even though this crowd is steadily getting larger and larger and
Mhm.
larger. Go ahead.
So we get to the riot. It says by 5 p.m., this is 3 hours later, it says a mob of between 5,000 and 15,000 people. So we could assume it's around 10,000 people. What averages out, it's about 10,000 people marching. It started from a large group of white youths. In 3 hours, we got 10,000 people marching.
Right.
It says
At the minimum,
at
I
the
would say.
yeah, yeah.
It's safe to say 10,000.
It's safe to say 10,000. So it says a mob of between 5,000 and 15,000 people had crowded into the street on the south side of the Douglas County Courthouse. They began to assault the police officers, pushing one through a pane of glass and a door and attacking two others who had wielded clubs at the mob.
hold on, brother.
At 5:15 p.m., officers deployed fire hoses to dispel the crowd, but they responded with a shower of bricks and sticks. Nearly every window on the south side of the courthouse was broken. The crowd stormed the lower doors of the courthouse, and the police inside discharged their weapons down an elevator shaft in an attempt to frighten them, but this further incited the mob. They again rushed the police who were standing guard outside the building, broke through their lines, and entered the courthouse through a broken basement door. Man, let Jake do this.
Come on now.
But they call us savages and they call us all these different things. But look at this though.
And you can just imagine when the 50 cops were told to go home. You can still imagine, get that nigger,
Mm-hmm.
bring that nigger up there. Slack you. We gave no context on what's actually going on right now. That's my fault. So what's being said was the reason why this guy uh, of his name was Brown, Will Brown.
Will Brown, come.
He was in jail because he was accused of raping a white woman, which it was later determined or speculated that it was actually her boyfriend that did it, who actually ended up marrying her. But so I mean, there's no evidence right now, but he was still innocent until proven guilty.
Exactly. He didn't even get a trial or anything like that.
We'll get into it, okay? But just want to give some clarity to that. But I also want to bring up this picture so that you get a visual of what this actually looked like, and you can see. And really, right now, you can't even get into the courthouse from this side of the building. You have to get in from the north side of the building. Um, all this is blocked off, and there's a big net over the whole building. So, like nothing can come in through a window or out of a window. Um, it's crazy. I think I have a picture here. Yeah, so it's like this kind of style netting over the whole building, and I'm not sure if every courthouse has that, but I know at least ours does, and I know this is an account of what happened back then as well. Um, Let me see. All right, we're gonna yeah. So just wanted to give you a visual of what this riot actually looked like. This is probably in the beginning stages of the riot, I would say. 'Cause it gets way worse than this.
So it says. So going into the second paragraph, it says.
I'm Slacky.
Okay, it says it was at this moment that Marshal Eberstein, chief of police, arrived. He asked the leaders of the mob to give him a chance to talk to the crowd. He mounted to one of the window sills. Beside him was a recognized chief of the mob. At the request of his leader, the crowd stilled its clamor for a few minutes. Chief Eberstein tried to tell the mob that his mission would best be served by letting justice take its course. The crowd refused to listen. Its members howled so that the chief's voice did not carry more than a few feet. Eberstein ceased his attempts to talk and entered the besieged building.
Probably like, hey, it ain't even working, man. Let me
Mhm.
just go in here and try to govern from the inside. Go ahead.
Mhm. By 6 p.m., throngs swarmed about the courthouse on all sides, and throngs is basically just like a crowd. It says the crowd wrestled revolvers, badges, and caps from policemen. They took they badges and they hats. That's crazy.
They gun now they're impersonating
Yeah, they got
policemen. Come on now.
yeah.
Now if Jake did this, they drop a bomb on us.
Mm-hmm. It says they chased and beat every African American who ventured into the vicinity. So they was in here to get Will Brown, but outside, if you was even near when this was going on, they was going after you if you was Jake. It says white civilians who attempted to rescue black civilians were subjected to physical abuse. The police had lost control of the crowd.
They lost control of the crowd hours ago.
Yeah.
This is 6 o'clock. They ain't had no control at 2 o'clock when they got there. Or at 4 o'clock when they got there.
It says by 7 p.m., most of the policemen had withdrawn to the interior of the courthouse. There, they joined forces with Michael Clark, sheriff of Douglas County, who had summoned his deputies to the building with the hope of preventing the capture of Brown. The policemen and sheriffs formed their line of last resistance on the fourth floor of the courthouse. The police were not successful in their efforts. Before 8 p.m., they discovered that the crowd had set the courthouse building on fire. Its leaders had tapped a nearby gasoline filling station and saturated the lower floors with the flammable liquid.
So now add arson onto it. Come on.
Hmm.
And this is crazy. Can you imagine? You can imagine this going on in these times, but this was obviously, like the brother said, this was going on during in multiple places
Con,
that year.
yeah, yeah. That 1 year. That 1 year. It says it says shots were fired as the mob pillaged hardware stores in the business district and entered pawn shops seeking firearms.
So then they started robbing other businesses for their guns
Hmm.
so that they can have some ammo to fight against these police in the last line.
Hmm.
So, man, this is completely out of hand.
It says police records show that more than 1,000 revolvers and shotguns were stolen that night. More than 1,000. Man. It says the mob shot at any policeman. 7 officers received gunshot wounds, although none of the wounds were serious. Lewis Young, 16 years old, was fatally shot in the stomach while leading a gang up to the fourth floor of the building. Witnesses said the youth was the most intrepid of the mob's leaders.
So,
Pandemonium.
hold on. So, a 16-year-old was one of the leaders of the mob. You got 40, 50, 60-year-old white men following after a 16-year-old to persecute a Jade. Come on.
It says pandemonium reigned outside the building.
And
As
pandemonium means all hell is breaking loose.
Mhm. It says at 17th and Douglas Streets, 1 block from the courthouse, James Heichel, a 34-year-old businessman, was shot and killed. The mob continued to strike the courthouse with bullets and rocks, and many civilians were caught in the midst of the mayhem. Spectators were shot while women were thrown to the ground and trampled. Blacks were dragged from streetcars and beaten. Many members of the mob even inflicted minor wounds upon themselves.
Yeah, and I just want to, because I had mentioned earlier, um, when slavery broke out, um, the majority of our people stayed down south. But in the early 1900s, there was a uh, like a mass exodus, if you will, and people started coming up north, mainly to cities like Chicago. Omaha was actually the third biggest hub for African Americans west of the Mississippi. All right, I believe the three biggest was uh, Omaha was the third, Denver was the second, and I believe San Francisco was the number one city west of the Mississippi for for black folk. So it's crazy now because you be like, y'all got black people in Nebraska. I hear this all the time, but at one point in time, we were one of the biggest black populations here in Nebraska because Omaha Steaks, everyone's heard of that. We have the stockyards here, and a lot of Jake came and worked in the stockyards. Okay, but just putting that connotation out there so we know how Jake got here, and uh, these are the people who are being pretty much terrorized right now, and getting caught up in the whole riot.
Continuing, this paragraph is called First Hanging. It says about 11 o'clock, when the frenzy was at its height, Mayor Edward Smith came.
Hold on. So this is just at the apex. This is 7 hours later after it started, and it's just now getting to its apex.
Mhm.
And we read about 1,000 guns being stolen,
Man,
the
the
building being
courthouse getting
set on
set on fire.
and it wasn't even the apex.
It says Mayor Edward Smith came out of the east door of the courthouse into 17th Street. He had been in the burning building for hours. As he emerged from the doorway, a shot rang out. He shot me. Mayor Smith shot me. A young man in the uniform of a United States soldier yelled. The crowd surged to, toward the mayor, and he fought them. One man hit the mayor on the head with a baseball bat. Another slipped the noose of a rope around his neck. The crowd started to drag him away. If you must hang somebody, then let it be me, the mayor said. The mob dragged the mayor into Harney Street, which is like a couple blocks away, if I'm not mistaken. It says a woman reached out and tore the noose from his neck. Men in the mob replaced it. Civilians wrestled the mayor from his captors and placed him in a police automobile. The throng overturned the car and grabbed him again.
Come on now.
Once more, the rope encircled the mayor's neck. He was carried to 16th and Harney Streets. There he was hanged from the metal arm of a traffic signal tower. Smith was suspended in the
Hold on,
air.
hold on. So he came out, shot somebody. They got him, put a noose around his neck. The lady took it off. They put it back on. They got him in the car. They overturned the car, put it back on, and then they hung him. Like these people were out for blood. These are the same people who are doctors in the community. They're lawyers. They own the hardware store. You know, the laundromat. All these big. These are people that you see in your everyday life and you wouldn't even know. And like I said, their descendants are still here.
God,
And
yeah,
this ain't that long ago. 1919. My grandfather was alive.
God. If you like with that picture we showed earlier when it showed Will Brown burning, you had Eves surrounding them. They was wearing they look like regular civilians. They look like regular people that at that time you'll just see on the sidewalk. You know what I'm saying? So you put that to now, you can see them here. They look like regular people.
Look, they on suits and
They on
ties.
suits, they hats and stuff like that. They look like regular civilians, right? You know what I'm saying? So you put that to today, it would be regular civilians now, and these is the same people. This they grandfathers. You know what I'm saying? They grandparents. Like
It's
go
it's
ahead.
just like a couple years ago with James Spurlock. Is a Jake that got shot here in Omaha during a few years ago when they was doing all the riots for George Floyd or whatnot, and there was a owner of a store downtown. They came out and he shot him in the back, killed him. He's a store owner, you know, probably one of these that was in the reincarnation. They ain't been that long for them to be reincarnated. My fault, because it hasn't been that
It
long.
hasn't been that long. Hey, the same building that all this went down. You can go see that building right now and see the effects of this event on that building. That's how short ago this was. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I mean
Like
they restored the building, but you can, like I said, they
kind
put that net on
they
that
got that.
motherfucker.
Yeah, kind of. You know,
And like I said, you can't get entry from that side of the courthouse anymore. There's only one way that you can get in, one way that you can get out that courthouse. No, fuck you. Is one way to is one main entrance, and then there's another side entrance that you can get in, and then other than that, you have to have a key. You have to have proper. Fuck you. I fucked it up. You have to have proper uh, clearance in order to get into the building from one of those points.
so moving on it says Smith was suspended in the air when state agent Ben Danbaum drove a high-powered automobile into the throne right to the base of the signal tower. This is mayhem going on at this point.
Right. So he had to drive a car like through the crowd. You can imagine this. You can see it in your eyes. In your head. Him having to
Hmm.
and to smack the telephone pole or the signal pole.
It says in the car with Danbaum were city detectives Al Anderson, Charles Van Dusen, and Lloyd Tolan. They grasped the mayor and Russell Norgard untied the noose. The detectives brought the mayor to Ford Hospital. There he lingered between life and death for several days, finally recovering. They shall not get him. Mob rule will not prevail in Omaha, the mayor kept muttering during his delirium.
I want to see what Fort Hospital is. Oh, that's Fort Hospital. Okay, it's just like an apartment building downtown now. This is like right around the corner from the brothers.
Okay, okay, kind of.
Yeah, let me see if I can blow that up. Yeah, next time we go that way, I'll show you. But yeah, that's good information.
Kind of. So it says, so going into the so this is really getting into the meat. It says siege of the courthouse. It says meanwhile the plight of the police in the courthouse had become desperate. The fire had spread to the third floor, and officers faced the prospect of burning to death. Appeals for help to the crowd below brought only bullets and curses. The mob frustrated all attempts to raise ladders to the imprisoned police.
And where's the firefighters at this point? They can't get through the crowd, or they don't want to risk their life to come and put the fire out.
Mhm.
Because you can only imagine if the trucks are showing up, they'd have probably pushed over a fire truck. Who
Yeah,
knows
yeah,
what?
kind of because putting yourself in this putting yourself in the shoes of the situation, like it mentioned earlier, it was like anybody in the vicinity was getting pulled into it. So it wasn't just everybody in this crowd was around the courthouse, but this is an event that was happening a few blocks around.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So it was hard to get there. It was hard to get out. But
Shoot. If they'll hang the mayor, they'll shoot me. If I'm a firefighter, if they'll hang the
yeah,
mayor.
yeah,
They'll shoot me.
kind of.
Chuck a rock at me.
So it says, "Bring Brown with you, and you can come down." Somebody in the crowd shouted. On the second floor of the building, three policemen and a newspaper reporter were imprisoned in a safety vault, whose thick metal door the mob had shut. The four men hacked their way out through the courthouse wall. The mob shot at them as they squirmed out of the stifling vault. The gases of
Formaldehyde.
formaldehyde added to the terrors of the men imprisoned within the flaming building. Several jars of the chemical had burst on the stairway as its deadly fumes mounted to the upper floors. Two policemen were overcome. Sheriff Clark led the 121 prisoners to the roof. Will Brown, for whom the mob was howling, became hysterical. Fellow prisoners allegedly tried to throw him off of the roof, but Deputy Sheriffs Hoyt and McDonald foiled the attempt.
Right. So back in those times, there was actual jail at the courthouse. It's not anymore, but that's why they had 121 prisoners, and they had to go to the roof.
Yeah. It says Sheriff Clark ordered that female prisoners be taken from the building due to their distress. They ran down the burning staircases clad only in prison pajamas. Some of them fainted on the way. Members of the mob escorted them through the smoke and flames. Black women as well as white women were helped to safety. The mob poured more gasoline into the building. They cut every line of hose that firemen laid from nearby hydrants.
So against the
So even when
fire,
the firemen got there, they still trying to stop. This is like it don't matter if it's the mayor, if it's the police officers, if it's the firefighter. These are officials of the city. They didn't care about none of that.
if they made this a movie, people will be like, "Man, that's over the top." But there's nothing more weird. There's nothing more crazy. Nothing more funny than the truth.
Mm-hmm.
This is the mentality of this madman.
Mm-hmm. And this ain't even all the details. This is just the details that we have record of
That's been reported
that's been
exactly.
reported. So it says the flames were spreading rapidly upward, and death seemed certain for the prisoners and their protectors. Three slips of paper were thrown from the fourth floor on the west side of the building. On one piece was scrawled, "The judge says he will give up Negro Brown. He is in dungeon. There are 100 white prisoners on the roof. Save them." Another note read, "Come to the fourth floor of the building, and we will hand the Negro over to you." The mob in the street cheered at the last message. Boys and young men placed firemen's ladders against the building. They mounted to the second story. One man had a heavy coil of rope on his back, and another carried a shotgun. 2 or 3 minutes after the unidentified men had climbed to the fourth floor, a mighty shout and a fusillade of shots were heard from the south side of the building. Will Brown had been captured. A few minutes later, his lifeless body was hanging from a telephone post at 18th and Harney Streets. Hundreds of revolvers and shotguns were fired at the corpse as it dangled in midair. Then the rope was cut. Brown's body was tied to the rear end of an automobile. It was dragged through the streets to 17th and Dodge Streets, 4 blocks away. The oil from red lanterns used as danger signals for street repairs was poured on the corpse. It was burned. Members of the mob hauled the charred remains through the business district for several hours.
Now it's probably 4 in the morning by this point. They didn't. They killed him in the building. Well, I don't. They said that they said that they got him and then they hung him. So I don't know. We don't know if he killed him in the building or if he was. He was probably still alive. I would imagine. They wanted the satisfaction of seeing him hung. And then while he's on the rope, dying, dead, they're still shooting because remember they had 1,000 guns at this point. Everybody wanted to get their shot off on this nigger, and everybody got their shot. And then when they cut him down, it wasn't enough. It wasn't after all of that. It still wasn't enough. They drug him 4 blocks and poured tar on him and continued to drag him around the city.
That shows the hatred, though. They treat him like he a toy or something. Like he just, hey, this is Ezekiel chapter 35 verse 5. It says, "Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee."
Yeah, man, a perpetual hatred, man. Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's doing, but a perpetual hatred, man. This has been a battle from the womb with Jacob and Esau, and we know Esau's blessing was the sword, and this is him executing. This is a prime example of that hatred that he's always had towards us. You know, the original man Esau, he you know, he would have did this to Jacob probably, because he had that fury in him. You know, I will kill my brother Jacob.
Mhm.
You know, and it's just gone on from generation and generation and generation.
Yeah.
But it's cool though because of all of this. Hey, what do the scriptures say?
This is Revelation chapter 18, verse 6. It says, "Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she had filled, fill to her double."
Right, right. So all these terrible things that you did to us, man, we're gonna be able to do them to you. We're gonna be able to hang you and keep the spirit in you and riddle your body full of bullets so you feel everything. And then you die, and we bring the spirit back into you and drag you down the street. And then you die, and we put the spirit back in you and we tar you and drag you down the street. And then you die, and we put the spirit back in you and then we set you on fire and drag you through the fucking street. And then do it all over next weekend.
Um,
That's your lot.
This is one man that they did this to. This is heinous. This it's disgusting. This is one man. So just all the different things with that happened during the times of slavery, all the different things that happened to so many people in our nation, past just Judah. You have the Latino, you have the Native Americans, all the different things that's done to our entire nation. You gotta get that back. This account alone should show you that. You know,
Yep. You got. Oh, you said you got to get it back, huh?
it says, Second Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 6. It says, seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you.
Right, it's a righteous thing with the Most High
Y'all gotta
to
get
pay
that.
them back.
Con,
That's what recompense means.
con,
The payback, the big payback. You gonna get it, man. He's gonna definitely get. He's gonna drink of that cup, as the scriptures say.
con,
I think it's a little bit more to this.
con. So it says, the lawlessness continued for several hours after Brown had been lynched. Both the police patrol and emergency automobile were burned. 3 times the mob went to the city jail. The third time, its leaders announced that they were going to burn it.
Did we read this
Um,
last paragraph?
No, la la. This is
Yeah.
the last paragraph of the previous passage. It says, Sheriff Clark said that black prisoners hurled Brown into the hands of the mob as its leaders approached the stairway leading to the county jail. Clark also reported that Brown moaned, "I am innocent. I never did it. My God, I am innocent," as he surrendered to the mob. Newspapers have quoted alleged leaders of the mob saying that Brown was shoved at them through a blinding smoke by persons whom they could not see.
So, hey, at the end of the day, Jake wanted to save their own ass,
Mhm.
as well as Esau tried to save his own ass. He said that they threw we'll bring Nero Brown to you, and there's 100 white prisoners up there, save them, but he was in prison with the Jakes. You know what I'm saying? They were still segregation.
Mhm.
So the niggas, hey, we got to save our own ass.
Um,
They didn't say, hey, he's one of us. We got to fight together. We're brothers. You know, it's 100 of us. We gonna fight these 10,000. But we didn't have the scriptures. We didn't have that mentality to know that. Hey, what did it say? It said one should chase 1,000 and 10,000. We so many accounts in the scriptures that the Most High gave power to a little to defeat a big force. So that's the mentality that we're gonna have to have in that day. That even though we were a small number, man, we could take out this whole country. But the cards wasn't with us, in these times.
okay. And some things, just to add, after this situation happened, Will Brown was buried nearby. I'm not sure exactly where the burial site is, but it wasn't too far away from where all this happened. And initially, um, they just buried him. They didn't give him a gravestone. They just put him in some ground, called it a day. And I think about 100 years later, in like 2019, I can't remember what year it was, or if it was in the 2000s or the 2010s, but there was this there was this guy who basically paid to finally have Will Brown have a gravestone. So for about 100 years or so, give or take, Will Brown was just buried in some plot of grass, and he never, you know what I'm saying? He
Yeah,
that's just what it was, you know.
I believe there's if you want to call it a memorial, this is basically like a fucking sign by Central High where they had drug him to on Dodge, and just basically saying, we lynched a nigga here. Didn't say it like that, of course, but you get the gist of it. Um, Read the causes and the consequences, Baba Bushai.
So it says the Omaha riot was denounced throughout the country.
Oh, well, we already here. Go ahead and
Con,
read the aftermath, and then
con,
we'll get all the meat off the bone.
So this is the aftermath. It says the lawlessness continued for several hours after Brown had been lynched. Both the police patrol and emergency automobile were burned. 3 times the mob went to the city jail. The third time its leaders announced that they were going to burn it, but never did. Meanwhile, Omaha officials requested assistance from the United States Army, which had been going on long before Brown was killed. So, hey, it says the riot lasted until 3 a.m. on the morning of September 29th. At
That's what,
that
13 hours?
con. It says at that hour, federal troops under command of Colonel John E. Morris of the 20th Infantry arrived from Fort Omaha and Fort Crook. Troops manning machine guns were placed in the heart of Omaha's business district in North Omaha.
Hold on, bro. They came from Fort Omaha. So you know where Popeyes is on 30th.
Kind
You know where Metro is.
I think so.
Let me
Met the
Metro. Yeah, Metro Community College.
kind yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
Fort Omaha.
Dang, they had to come all the way
Right there on 30th
or
and Fort.
right
It's
there. Oh, yo,
right,
it's right there. Yeah, that's so they took all that time to come around the corner.
bruh. Come on. Let me
No, I'm thinking
let
I'm
me.
like Metro's like in that same area with all of that.
So we're right here, what downtown, right?
Con.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that was Bancroft. We don't need Bancroft anymore. Let's put a
There you go, right
marker.
there, up top, Douglas County.
Okay.
So that's the
This is the interstate. You get off on the interstate. So you get off right here. Yep, it should be about Slovakia. Yep, about right here.
Fort Omaha. They were almost the same distance away that they marched. If you see, you
It's a
see,
little bit. It's a little
it's a
bit
little bit
further,
further, but
but
it's like
North Omaha is not far from downtown at all. So, like I said, you just get on 30th, and then you can get on the interstate, and you're right there. Even if they didn't have the interstate back then, it's not far. It's not far at all. From right here to the courthouse downtown is literally everything in Omaha is 15 minutes away. Period. This is literally 7 to 10 minutes in a car with stoplights. Literally. But it took them 13 hours to get there. That just pissed me off, bro. Go ahead.
it says troops manning machine guns were placed in the heart of Omaha's business district in North Omaha, the center of the black community, to protect civilians there, and in South Omaha to prevent more mobs from forming. Major General Leonard Wood, commander of the Central Department, came the next day to Omaha by order of Secretary of War Newton D. Baker. Peace was enforced by 1,600 soldiers. Martial law was not formally proclaimed in Omaha, but it was effectively enacted throughout the city. By the request of City Commissioner W.G. who was acting mayor, Wood also took control of the police department. Um, on October 1st, 1919, Brown was laid to rest in Omaha Potter's Field. So it says the interment log listed only one word next to his name: lynched.
That's a damn shame.
It says, so this is causes and consequences. It says the Omaha riot was denounced throughout the country. The arrest and prosecution of mob leaders was widely demanded. Police and military authorities apprehended 100 of the participants on charges ranging from murder to arson and held them for trial. The army presence in Omaha was the largest in response to any of the race riots, with 70 officers and 1,222 enlisted men. By early October, the emergency had passed, and the army contingent declined to 2 regiments by the middle of the month. Omaha police would identify another 300 people wanted for questioning, including Lobeck's brother who had disappeared.
Lobeck is that's the boyfriend of the woman who was great. Great.
It says the district court ordered a grand jury to convene and investigate the riots, and a grand jury was impaneled on October 8th. After a 6 week session, the grand jury issued a report that criticized the Smith administration for ineffective leadership and police incompetence. Army witnesses testified to their belief that more prompt police action could have controlled the riot. More prompt police action. The army was like, "Why y'all didn't come earlier? Why y'all didn't call us earlier?" There's 120 indictments were handed down for their involvement in the riots. Of the 120 persons indicted for involvement in the riot, most were never successfully prosecuted, and all were eventually released after serving no term of imprisonment.
Nobody even went to jail for this shit.
They are not in what's how does that
They're
excuse?
not in trouble as other men.
They're not in trouble as other men because, like I said, let Jake do something like this. They gonna go down as some of the most evil people in history, but they didn't get no imprisonment for anything.
10,000, 10,000, 10,000 people,
10,000 people, and only 120 of them were indicted.
and none of them served any jail time. Burned down the whole courthouse. Killed police officers. Damn near killed the mayor. Nobody indicted.
120 people out of 10,000 is a fraction.
That's a drop in the bucket.
Hey, but that's E Kingdom though.
That's what, 1/100th?
That's
Because if
a
a
thousand
thousand
is
goes,
10%.
yeah, then 100 of 10,000 would have to be one. And that's just
So
rough numbers because it could have been 15,000 people there. 15,000 people can barely fit into the Quest Center or whatever it's called now, the CenturyLink, the baseball stadium that we have downtown.
so this is 1% of the people who did all this, and out of that 1%, nobody got charged, knowing everything that happened. The woman who accused Will Brown, she never got charged of anything. Everybody just got off scot free, and today it's like nothing happened. We don't talk about it. It's just something, it was just something that took place.
And I ain't gonna lie, I did a Facebook search of Lobex in Omaha, and I couldn't find none. They got the fuck out of Omaha. I did find some in Kansas, and I don't know if they're all related, but you know, not to say I was gonna do anything or anything like that, but just want to see if these people are still living among us. And after this, it said that Lobex's brother disappeared. I'm pretty sure that whole family disappeared.
So you can that shows you that Will Brown was innocent. That shows you that they was lying, and they know they was. That's why they not. That's why they up and left. You know.
But hey, man, we got to get out of here, man. We need salvation for. And I know this would never happen today, but you can't even really say that because look, we still getting choked out. We still getting shot in the streets. It may not be to this level, but we're still not safe.
This can most definitely happen today. It's happening in other countries as we speak. The riots in 2020 was just a sneak peek of how things are going to eventually get, because you see with this situation they got so bad that martial law had to take place temporarily in Omaha. Riots are gonna come back. Martial law is going to come back.
Con.
You know,
Hey, with that being said, Lord's word, this was edifying, and I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makar Kradash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, the women, the children, and the confusion of face who follow. Shalom.
shalom.